For years, the whole AI world has followed one simple rule. If your AI is too slow, just buy more hardware. We are talking about more chips, more memory, more power, bigger buildings, and costly cooling systems. But what if you did not need to buy more chips? What if you could make AI run 100 times faster, music, without adding any more computing power? Workers in China just showed exactly that. They fixed what might be the biggest problem in modern AI. They did not do it by building a giant new chip. They did it by using light. A team at Peking University connected a few small processors using light music instead of normal wires. They changed how the AI works so every chip could work at the exact same time. The result was almost hard to believe. Their system finished an AI task nearly 149 times faster than a normal GPU. The crazy part is that the combined processors only had about 1/10 of the power of that GPU. This video takes a lot of work to make. So, if you like it, please hit the like button and subscribe music so you do not miss our next one. You might wonder how a smaller system can beat a big GPU by music so much. The secret is in how data moves. If you want to see how China just changed the rules of the AI game, you need to see how they removed the invisible wall, holding back every chip today. The hidden problem with modern AI. A modern AI chip is amazing. It can do trillions of math problems every second. But math is only one part of the job. Before a chip can do math, it needs data. It needs rules, input info, and results from earlier steps. All of that info has to move between memory chips, processors, music, and sometimes totally different servers. Moving data takes time. It also eats up a ton of energy. A chip might be able to do a lot of math, but it only does a little if it spends all its time waiting for info to arrive. This hidden wall is often called the memory wall. It is the biggest problem in AI today. It is exactly what workers in China tried to fix. The normal answer from the tech world is to build faster memory and wider wires. Companies put stacked memory chips right next to the processor. They use smart packing to make the distance between tiny chip parts very small. They use complex networks to link processors inside and between servers. These things are good, but they cannot escape the physical limits of electric wires. As data speeds go up, electric wires lose more energy. They make heat. They get harder to route. They need extra parts just to fix bad music signals. The problem gets even harder when an AI job is split among many chips. One chip might finish its math and then just sit there waiting while data travels to the next chip. If every step happens one after another, adding more chips might give you more power on paper, but it will not give you more real speed. You end up paying for power that just sits there doing nothing. Think about a modern GPU. Music has thousands of tiny cores ready to do math. When you give it a big task, it cuts the task into tiny pieces. But before a core can multiply two numbers, it has to grab those music numbers from memory. The memory might be close, but electrons moving through copper wires still face resistance. They make heat. The faster you push them, the more energy you waste as heat. This is why data centers need huge cooling systems. They are not just cooling the math, they are cooling the data moving around. If a model is too big to fit on one chip, it gets split across many music chips. Now, the chips not only have to grab data from memory, but they also have to send data to each other over network cables. This adds even more delay. A chip might do its math in a tiny fraction of a second, music, but then wait much longer for the next piece of data to arrive over the network. During that wait, the chip does nothing. Music, it uses power but makes no results. The AI world knows this. They have, music, been stacking memory higher and moving it closer to the chip. But there is a physical limit to how close you can get things, music, using electric wires. This problem is what led the Chinese team to look for a totally different answer. They knew if they could not make the math faster, they could at least make the waiting go away. The Peking University team attacked this problem from 3 sides at once. Music, they changed the links, they changed the setup, and they changed how the AI was split across the hardware. That mix is why their result matters so much. To see how they got a 100 times speed up without more GPUs, we need to look at the actual hardware they built. Let us look at a factory example. Picture a factory putting together a toy in 5 steps. If one worker does every step alone, the next toy cannot start until the first toy is totally done. Adding 5 workers does not help if all 5 still wait for the same toy and work one after another. A pipeline changes the whole thing. The first worker finishes step 1 and passes the toy to the second worker. The first worker right away starts step 1 on the next toy. Very soon, all 5 workers are busy at the same time. Each one handles a different step of a different toy. After the pipeline fills up, finished toys come out non-stop. This is exactly what the Chinese system did. Instead of factory workers, IT, music used chips linked by light. The industry has been trying to build faster workers. But the real magic happens when you build a better assembly, music, line. The next part shows exactly how they use light to build this assembly line and why music, it changes everything we know about chips. How light, music, connects the chips. The system built by the Peking University team has 3 main parts. The first parts are 5 chips called music, FPGAs. An FPGA is a special kind of chip whose inside parts can be changed after it is made. Unlike a normal chip built for one job, an FPGA lets engineers make custom paths for data for a specific task. FPGAs are used in phones, cars, planes, music, and data centers. They are not always faster than GPUs. Their best part is how flexible they are. Engineers can set up the hardware for one job instead of forcing that job through a general design. In this test, each FPGA handled exactly 1 layer of a 5-layer AI model. The second part is a custom light transceiver hooked up to each chip. The FPGA makes electric data, music. The transceiver takes that electric data and turns it into light. It sends that light through the network, gets incoming light, music, and turns it back into electric data for the next chip. Each transceiver gave a 400 gigabytes per second light input and output. That is a very fast pipe for data to flow through. The third part is a 16x6 light switch. This switch can link any input to any output without making one route mess up another. The machine was built on a glass base. It worked at a light size of 1,300 nanometers and had very little loss of no more than 5 dB. The network sent data at 400 Gbps per second with no errors and no need to boost the light during the test. Together, these parts made a web of light that could connect up to 16 chips. The team used 5 chips for the AI job, but the center switch leaves room for a much bigger system. In theory, 16 of these 400 gigabytes links would give up to 4 terabits per second music of total switching power. That means you could link many more chips without the network slowing down. Why is light so much better for this? When you push fast electric signals through copper, they make bad waves. They lose energy fast over music distance. Light signals do not have these problems. Different colors of light can travel through the same glass at the same time without messing with each other. This means you can pack many data channels into one path. Light signals can also travel longer distances, music, with much less loss than fast electric signals. They do not make bad waves. Most music, importantly, a light switch does not need to check, hold, schedule, and resend every single packet of data like a normal network switch does. In the Peking University system, the switch worked as a pure path for light. The team took away almost all the extra work tied to a full network. They kept basic coding and error fixing, but music, the light switch itself, did no holding or waiting. That is exactly what kept the delay so very low. The system was not fully light. The FPGA still did their math with electricity. The transceiver still had to change between electricity and light. Music, memory stayed electric. Control logic stayed electric. The right way to describe it is a mix of light, music, and electric parts. Light handled the fast talking, while electric chips handled the AI math. This mixed way is much more practical than trying to replace every single tiny part with a light version. It takes the best of both worlds. Because each layer of the AI model stayed on its own FPGA, the system did not need to keep loading new rules or saving every middle result in outside memory. In a normal music system, a chip finishes a layer, saves the result to memory, clears its space, loads rules for the next layer, gets the saved result, and starts math again. This constant loading and saving takes a ton of time. The light pipeline stopped this totally. Once the pipeline was full, all 5 chips worked at the same time. The light link gave enough music speed to keep the pipeline moving non-stop. The special hardware mapping kept the chips from ever sitting idle. The data just flowed from one chip to the next like water through a pipe. This non-stop flow is what let the system reach such crazy good efficiency. Now that we know how the hardware works, we need to see how it did when put to the test. The results of this test are what shocked the whole world. The astonishing 149 times speed test. The team tested their new setup using a 5-layer AI model. The model was trained to remove fuzzy spots from pictures in a set, music called Fashion MNIST. This set has simple black and white pictures of clothes. For the test, each picture had a size of 32 times 32 pixels. Every pixel was shown using 32-bit floating point numbers, giving 32,768 bits per picture. Each model layer used a 5x5 math filter followed by a normal math step. The model was trained before being put on the FPGAs. That detail is important. The light system showed inference. This means it used an already trained model to handle new inputs. It did not do the much harder job of training the model from scratch. Music, the team sent 1,000 pictures through the finished pipeline in groups of 10. The total time for the light system was 105, 16 microseconds. To see how fast that is, music, a microsecond is 1/1,000,000th of a second. The 5 FPGAs used a total of 5,040 music, digital signal parts running at a speed of 390, 625 megahertz. Their best guessing speed was about 1%, 969 teraflops. For the 100-picture job, the model needed about 196 million math steps. If the hardware was used perfectly, the math should have taken about 99.6 micro. Music, the real result of 116 microseconds means the hardware hit a 94.7% use rate. That number is actually more important than the headline speed. The system did not win because it had more math power. It won because almost all of its smaller math power stayed busy. Music, it wasted almost no time waiting for data. Then came the GPU test. The team ran the exact same job using the same 32-bit numbers on a normal GPU. The GPU had 372 cores working at 276 GHz. It had a music best guessing speed of about 16, 96 teraflops. On paper, the GPU had more than 8 times the raw power of the 5 FPGA system. Yet, it needed 643 milliseconds to handle the 1,000 pictures. Music that made the light pipeline nearly 149 times faster, while using only 6% of the power of the GPU. This sounds crazy until we split peak speed from real work speed. The GPU handled the 5 model layers one music by one. After finishing one layer, it saved the middle result in outside memory. It then got the rules ready for the next layer, grabbed the saved result from music, memory, and started math again. The GPU's thousands of cores were very strong, but this exact job was too small and too slow to keep them all busy. Starting jobs, moving data, changing layers, and grabbing memory took far more time than the math itself. Music, the chip, was basically spending most of its time opening and closing files instead of doing math. The FPGA system, on the other hand, was music, built just for this model. Every layer had its own hardware. Data flowed non-stop between those layers through the light switch. The light pipeline took away almost all the waiting time. It is key to note that this is a fair test for this exact job. It is not proof that 5 FPGAs will beat every GPU by 149 times on every AI model. A bigger GPU batch, a better written software setup, a different model, or a heavier job could give a very different result. Modern GPUs are built to handle giant jobs, and they get better when there is enough math to fill their cores. The music test shows how badly a strong general chip can do when talking and planning take over a small job that needs low delay. This shows exactly why China's way of fixing the problem without more GPUs is so smart, but to really get the impact, music, we need to look at what these results do not mean. The limits of this experiment. The phrase 100 times faster without more GPUs is true, but only for this exact test. We need to be very clear about what China has not done here. China has not made a chip that makes Nvidia old news. The system did not beat a top chip on big language models, video making, science tasks, or model training. It handled a small 5-layer model on 1,000 tiny 3.2x 3.2 pixel pictures. The test used one normal GPU with 372 cores. It did not test against a whole modern AI group, music, with hundreds of chips linked together. The model was already trained, so the hard work of learning was already done. Also, the team did not put out a full power test showing that the whole light system used 1/9 of the energy. They said the system used 1/9 of the guessing power. The transceivers, the light switch, the FPGA boards, the control systems, and all the extra gear still use power. You cannot just look at how busy the chips are and guess the whole machine uses 1/10 of the power of a GPU server. The system also used 5 separate boards to beat one single GPU on a job built just for those boards. This does not make the result fake at all. It just shows what the result actually proves. The test, music, proves that how you link chips and map AI can matter far more than raw power for some jobs. It proves that a light network can send 400 gigabytes data streams with no errors while linking many chips. It proves that a well-built pipeline can keep small chips working near their best limit. And it proves that buying a bigger, pricier chip is not always the best answer. The size problem is also big. The team knows their test remains very small compared to modern AI jobs. A 5-layer model with 5.5 math filters is nothing like a giant model with billions or trillions of parts. Making this setup bigger to handle giant models would need many more chips, way more memory, and far more light channels. It would need very smart scheduling and support for many different math jobs. The current system's main problem was not even the light parts. It was the input and output power of the FPGAs themselves. The IT can already support 200 Gbps per second on each color and total transceiver power up to 6 terabits per second. Music, future chips would need many more fast channels to really use that light power. The light switch can, in theory, link 16 chips, but bigger AI systems might need hundreds or thousands of nodes. Engineers would need to build multi-level light networks with complex backup plans, tuning, and watching. They would need software able to put models across changing hardware setups. Writing code for this is another big hurdle. The tested model won because it was simple with very clear layers. Real AI services run many different models. They have changing input sizes, moving workloads, tricky attention parts, and totally random user demand. A fixed pipeline might become very bad the moment the job changes. If you force a very special pipeline to run a model it was not built for, it will likely do worse than a normal GPU. A GPU can handle anything you throw at it because it is flexible. The light system trades flexible for pure speed on one exact job. However, as AI models get bigger and more standard, we might see a shift towards special hardware. If a big tech company runs the exact same language model millions of times a day for user questions, music, building a special light pipeline for that one model could save them huge amounts of time and money. They would not need to buy the most costly GPUs on the market. They could use cheaper, smaller chips linked music by light. This is the real hope of the tech. The system must keep enough flexibility to be worth its special setup. Knowing these limits is key before picking a winner in the global chip race. The real value lies in the new way of linking chips with light. Let us look at how this fits into the bigger picture of the global AI fight. Why this changes the future of AI. This work fits perfectly into China's bigger plan to improve computing power. China faces strict rules on getting the best foreign AI chips and music tools. If they cannot easily buy the best single chips in the world, linking the chips they do have more smartly becomes very important. A setup that gets more real work from small available chips can cut their need for just buying bigger things. China also has fast-growing skills in light chips, light networks, FPGA building, smart packing, and music data center setup. Mixing all those fields could make systems that compete on setup even when their single chips are not the best. But we should not say this is China beating Nvidia in one day. Nvidia's power is not just their hardware. It includes their memory systems, their networks, their software tools, and a giant setup that almost every AI company in the world uses. Nvidia is also putting a lot of money into light networks, music, and faster links of their own. The whole world already knows that talking is becoming the next big problem. The race is not China using light and the West ignoring it. The race is about who can turn light links into solid, programmable, and buildable systems first. The AI world is currently building bigger and bigger groups because single chips cannot hold the biggest models, music, or serve every user alone. Thousands of chips must talk all the time during training and use. The faster chips get, the worse talking delays get. A GPU that finishes its work in record time might just spend more time waiting for another GPU, a memory bank, or a network switch to answer. This makes a dangerous trap. Companies buy more power, but a growing part of that power is totally lost to planning overhead. Light links could help fix this at many levels. The Peking University test focuses on a tight group of chips running a pipeline. It shows that designing the model and the link together can get far more useful speed from small hardware. That idea is very important for inference jobs. Music, many inference jobs care about delay more than total work. A self-driving car, a factory robot, a medical tool, a phone system, music, or a small device might need an answer right now. Waiting a few extra milliseconds could be the difference between life and death. A special light pipeline could handle a fixed model with very low delay while using much cheaper hardware. Big cloud systems could also split popular models into permanent music pipeline steps. Even though real jobs are far more complex than the tested picture cleaning model, the idea still holds up. The 109 times result is music, real, cool, and very easy to get wrong. The team did not build a chip with 149 times more power. They built a system that wasted far less of the power it already had. That is the bigger win. For many years, speed came from faster parts, more cores, and bigger chips. AI is hitting a point where moving info can cost more time and energy than doing math with it. When that happens, the setup matters just as much as the chip. The Peking University system shows a totally new way of thinking. Split the model across special chips. Keep each step always ready. Stream data right from one step, music to the next. Use light to stop talking from slowing the pipeline. And design the model chips and network as one unified machine. The test is still far from replacing giant GPU groups. Its model is small, its hardware is very special, and its size problems are big. But the result shows a big weak spot in the current AI race. A system with 96 teraflops, music, lost badly to a system with 969 teraflops just because the stronger machine could not use its power well. The next big leap, music, may not come from a GPU with twice as many cores. It may come from a network that keeps every single core busy. If they succeed in making this bigger, AI data centers might stop being groups of lonely superchips linked by messy wires. They might become true light computing webs like one big team. If you like this deep look into the future of computing, please take a moment to hit the like button. It takes a lot of work to look into these topics, music, and your support helps the channel grow. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next video. I have a related video about the global chip race that you should check out next. Do you think light links are the missing tech that will unlock the next age of AI? Or is this result just too small to threaten the current GPU data centers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.